Hot takes, leave yours in the comments. Don't make it too long, and maybe we'll read it in the following week. Here we go. Hot take, I think 2CP should return to quick play. It definitely shouldn't be in competitive, but some of these maps are very entertaining. I know it's in arcade frequently, but playing without roll queue sucks. There are many maps that I don't think a random 2CP game here or there would upset many people, unless it was Paris. Now, the problem with this is it's very subjective. Like you said, specifically, you don't like Paris, so, you know, it would it would upset a lot of people if Paris was back in, but a lot of people didn't like it. You may be in the minority that enjoyed it, and to me, I actually enjoy 2CP here and there as well. I don't think this is a bad hot take. I think they could do it, but they could maybe manipulate the frequency of it. I'm not sure if all the maps are weighted equally and they roll separately. For example, push is a 25% roll, escort's a 25% roll, hybrid, control, flashpoint. Sorry, there's 5 modes, so 20% for each, and then once they roll the first roll for 20%, then they roll between the maps inside. Or if each map has an equal chance to show up, it's a different statistic in that case. If they did it the first way, where each map has an individual roll, maybe 19% for all, and a 2CP would be like a 5% chance to show up. Maybe that could work, but yeah, pretty medium take. I don't think it's a bad idea. Hot take, pickable passives is going to create so many problems for balancing. Yeah, but we're already in a place where balancing is already in question in terms of how to fix and alleviate the tank roll. That I don't feel like this idea initially is that bad based on the quick play hacked event. And of course, balancing will be a nightmare and cause some problems early on when they iterate. I mean, right off the rip, you could tell it actually was pretty successful, apart from a few that were a bit of a balancing nightmare, but it wasn't even that bad, especially if there's only like 3 or 4 global ones and maybe hopefully 1 or 2 individual ones. It's just another part of a kit you're gonna have to balance in some specific matchups, and it's gonna take some time, but you know, that's an obstacle that they're gonna have to tackle if they implement it. I mean, it's not a hot take. It will create some problems. I don't know about so many problems, more than we already have. Next hot take is Juno is the first support that is actually healthy for the game because she provides so much team utility without being oppressive in terms of damage or healing. And because she doesn't have self-sustain out of her own shield health. She also isn't hard to play against because she can't apply debuffs that would give her an extreme advantage in a fight. I think you mean in a 1v1. Don't think this is a hot take. Juno's one of the much better designed, maybe one of the best support designs that come out right out of the gate, right out of the box. The kit is like pretty good, balanced all around. You're right, and I do think one of the biggest things is the fact that Juno doesn't have a get out of jail free card, a defensive ability, like an oh shit panic button. Like if you're BAP, the oh shit button is press regen burst, press lamp. Suzu for Kiriko, TP out. A lot of heroes can just like look at the floor and do something. Like Anna can also throw a nade on the ground, but Juno only has her own speed and natural cover, so you're down to your own wits. And then in a 1v1 scenario, there's no cheesy invulnerability stuff. You're stuck with just your gun and natural cover. You just have movement on your side with like movement, speed, strafes, which is a good skill check and skill representation because, you know, being able to maneuver and move and strafe and dodge abilities is part of skill representation, and like having good movement is part of being a good player. So yeah, not a hot take. This is Juno's great. Hot take, and I've said this before, that Pharah is the most balanced hero in Overwatch. She takes a considerable amount of skill to use in all ranks. She has a sizable amount of counters who can keep her in check without making her completely unplayable. She also pairs extremely well with a lot of heroes on the roster, and on top of that, I would say she even plays similarly well on most, if not all maps, and I would even argue her ultimate is balanced in the sense that it is high risk, high reward. She gets value out of each of her abilities without them being game-breaking, and I'm open to discussion. Evidently, she's not the most balanced hero in Overwatch, statistically speaking. Even like the stats came out that she had about, what, 57, 59% win rate across all ranks. That is not balanced. That is a little overperforming, if you ask me. And I think one of the reasons why is that you're forgetting that she's very safe in her new rework to spam from a safe area. It makes it, you know, there's a considerable amount of skill ceiling to like capitalize on when to engage with your boosters in flight, but she's so safe in the neutral and the poke that she's just a better Junkrat, right? Junkrat has the lob grenades and then they slow bounce, but Pharah's rocket speed is incredibly fast, and she just plays from a safe angle and just chucks non-stop rockets. I've seen Pharah's rack up insane amounts of like damage at the end of a match with a lot of kills as well, simply because it's just so hard to deal with her because she can play so far, no damage fall off, and it does so much damage and safe. So that's why they have to nerf her survivability. So, you know, you can only do that for so long. That's just one part of the aspect of the kit, the neutral, the poke. there are times where you have to engage and go in deep and try to clean up and stuff. And they nerfed the survivability from 250 to 225 HP, so she can be punished for making a play like that, which is a lot healthier for the game. She's definitely not the most balanced. I still think she's on the stronger side, like a B+ right now, but still pretty acceptable. And being a B+ hero is not bad, right? I think it's like not perfectly balanced, but much more manageable now. And I think we're in a good spot where, you know, once people understand how to, you know, play against the matchup a bit more, we can probably keep her here for the time being. Next hot take, I've been saying it, but 7v7 is the optimal Overwatch 2 format. Yes, it has some major flaws, but it also solves the tank problem while keeping all the roles balanced and DPS Q timers lower. Oh, yeah, this is probably the hottest take of all time. 7v7 being optimal Overwatch 2 format. A, how would you know that? Unless you've tested it in custom games, which is impossible because the highest you can go in Workshop right now is 6v6. Yes, it has some major flaws. You contradicted yourself right there by saying it has major flaws. And then in what way does that mean it's an optimal format? Does it solve the tank problem though? We just saw the article that Aaron Keller, the long 6v6 may return, is returning, excuse me, article that Aaron Keller did say the problem is not necessarily the volume of players playing tank, it's always the ratio of tank players. No matter if you have 10,000 average concurrent players or 100,000, if the ratio is distributed where more people are always going to queue for DPS or support and the tank is always the least popular role, no matter how many people are playing, it's always going to be a problem in terms of solving the queue time issue. And will it even solve the gameplay issue, having an extra, what is it, a 7v7 extra DPS, extra support? You're not saying for sure 3 tanks, right? If we do 3-2-3 or sorry 3-2-2, no way is that ever gonna work. Finding 3 tanks for a game, yeah, good luck. So if you mean 2-2-3 or 2-3-2, I mean, maybe we can like alleviate by filling in an extra DPS hero now, so the ratio can maybe be solved a little bit there, but like gameplay loop with an extra damage hero to play with, you have no idea until you try it. And on paper, more abilities, more visual clutter, there's no way this is an optimal format, so this is a pretty damn hot take. Next hot take is Symmetra needs a new ultimate. Like what then? I actually don't think this one's that bad. It's pretty defensive, especially for a DPS hero or a damage hero having a pure defensive ultimate like this, or it's just a wall. Probably because, like, you know, she came as a support role initially, right? So that may contribute to why her ultimate is pretty defensive by nature. I don't think it'd be bad to have a new ultimate, but I actually think the wall is one of a decent one, to be honest with you. So this one's pretty subjective. All right, people need to stop acting like their game accounts are investment accounts. No one cares that you spent money to buy worthless pixels first. Just let people buy what they want when they want it. I mean, yeah, partially true. No one cares that you spent money to buy pixels. I mean, Reddit and social media would tend to disagree. People tend to care a lot on how other people spend their money because it will affect how they individually would spend theirs. Because if other people spend a lot of money on it, then it signals to a company that they can price things at this point because people are going to buy it, and then it will inconvenience or suck for those who can't afford it. Which I can understand that frustration, so I'm not trying to dismiss that, but like I'm kind of agree with this. I don't really think this is a hot take. It's not a gameplay changer. Like if you spent money and it's a pay to win system where if you spent money and you have a clear advantage in the game, then to me that's a problem. But maybe it's because I'm extremely detached to skins. I personally don't buy skins unless they're for the heroes I play, and then that can also lead to the question, why do you buy skins? I mean, you just like to express yourself, right? Why do we buy clothes? Why do you buy a regular t-shirt, and why am I wearing a polo here? I don't know, you want to look nice, you want to look cool. Maybe it's a social thing. I mean, I just like the skin for the hero I play because, I mean, it looks cool. And you can't really, you know, get mad at somebody else for buying something that they like, no matter what price they're at. So like, I just let people buy what they want. I kind of agree with that. Now, if we're talking about monetization and localized prices, that's a different avenue as well, because I have heard, and there are concerns where, you know, if they want to buy something nice, but it's not priced nicely in their country, of course people are going to like voice their concerns. So like, you know, it's a tough balancing act. If people are buying money, the company, or buying this product or this skin, then the company can price it to whatever, as long as people are still spending it. And like, we wouldn't be hearing all these posts if they wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't successful, you know? Clearly this model works because Overwatch adopts it and a lot of other games adopt it, which sucks, but yeah, it's not an investment account. Just buy whatever you want. It's just cosmetics for the game. It's not pay to win. Just, yeah. Hot take, Bob should not be able to contest the point unless they lower his HP. He has a tank passive and a DPS passive now and is literally an AI in a PvP match. Otherwise, Torb's turret might as well be able to contest the point as well. I mean, it's probably because the way that, you know, if it's nano boostable, it's a targetable person that counts as a warm body. And Bob counts, Torb turret doesn't, Hammond mines don't. Deployables and like the warm body are not the same because you can't sleep dart a turret, you can't sleep dart a mine, but you can because, hey, Bob is sentient, right? He's helping Ash. But in terms of like gameplay stuff, I think it's fine. I think it's a nice feature for Bob, right? It's not even like he's that oppressive. You only get Bob a few times a game. He can be slept, he can be burned down. Yes, he is a bit of a tank passive now where he can tank some more headshots, but I don't think it's that problematic to have some like unique interactions where Bob can contest and Lucio can sound barrier on top of Sigma's whatever flux, and you know, there's certain interactions that may not make sense, but I think they're fine the way they are. I'll take they could come up with a better name than Cassidy. I understand his original name could be used anymore, and I agree with changing it, but Cole Cassidy sounds like they used a random name generator and went with the first. Personally, I think they should have used a name somewhat similar to the original, but make it sound different, like Jason McLeod, Joseph McCord, or Jackson McCabe. Like maybe like a Mick something instead of McCree. Yeah. I mean, low-key, I've read those 3 names out loud, and they all sound equally as lame. And the more I hear Cole Cassidy, like, I actually don't mind it, to be honest with you. Cole, because it kind of sounds like he's cold, you know? He's a cold cowboy. But Cass, maybe I'm just so used to it now that it's fine. And like hearing Joseph McLeod, McCabe 1, Jackson McCabe 1, nah. I think Cass is fine now. Hot take, Overwatch should have purposeful metas sometimes. Some characters in Overwatch are really fun to play against and some are not. That's subjective. Remember that. If developers purposely made a fun character meta like Queen or Ron, then they wouldn't have to worry about a character like Mauga or Orisa being meta. Maybe not meta, but a little stronger. Metas are player driven, and they're driven by how a player perceives strengths and weaknesses, right? Player perception is not always the same as like objective like win rates and stuff like that. And we see time and time again Symmetra having a high win rate when you like peel back the layers and stuff. Does that make Symmetra fun or make her meta? Maybe in some scenarios. So it's always, metas are always player made. So if the developers purposely made a fun character meta, fun is subjective, right? I mentioned that earlier. I think Queen and Ryan are fun, but some people don't like playing against Queen and Ryan every single game, because if they make that meta and they purposefully arbitrarily buff those heroes to make them always picked, that's not healthy for game balance. So absolutely no Megalol. Very, very hot take. Next hot take, if Mercy is going to have such an extremely high pick rate, the dev should be trying to fix her as a hero before working on anyone else. I think Mercy's pick rate is not very high in high elo because she's not very good, but she is high picked on average for the majority of players because she's simple and easy to pick up. And guess what? She actually performs okay. Fix, in their eyes, they say, fix what? Because she's performing as intended, right? Probably at a 50% win rate. They've said that she's doing fine, believe it or not, despite what player perception is at the high levels. You may be echoing streamer or high elo sentiment. But are people, people always use Mercies as a scapegoat, but like a lot of people also at the same time ask for a Mercy pocket when they're a damage hero. I do think they need to fix some fundamental things from a high level perspective and the way some of the slingshot and the movement mechanics work, but it's probably not something they're prioritizing to fix her as a hero right away because in their eyes, there's nothing to fix. Hot take, the only good version of Mercy there's ever been is when she healed more when teammates were low and healed less otherwise. That made it so she can't carry games as easily by AFKing behind cover while pocketing a hit scan hero. It promoted a more strategic and fast-paced playstyle by promoting movement, and it shifted her value from pocketing boring playstyles that aren't punishable to being a more flexible support that actively requires awareness in more complex environments. I actually like that idea. I'm surprised they removed that, to be honest with you. I can't remember why their philosophy was, but I actually agree with this, and I don't think it's a hot take. If you have multiple people at lower or below half health who get the benefit of bonus healing from Mercy, maybe nothing too oppressive, but like a slight buff to the heal when they're less than half health, it would promote Mercy to fly around more often. And in turn, a risk reward. It's more rewarding because you heal more, but higher risk because you know, you're flying around more. And if you make a bad flight and a bad judgment where like, should I fly to them to heal more? That's the reward. But is it risky? That's a judgment call in a skill rep, a representation of skill. So, you know, I don't think this is a hot take. I think they should go back to that or revisit that idea. Hot take, most of the CC in the game isn't even that bad. People are just babies that like to complain about any minor inconvenience. Sure, maybe multiple sim turrets on one person can be a pain, but a May Beam or a Flashbang or a Sigma Rock, etc. never really irked me that much, even when I play tank. Yeah, I actually agree with this. I don't think this is a hot take to me. I think CCs are a little necessary evil, and objectively speaking, they did cut down on it a lot, right? When there's one less tank, which means there's less CC flying around. It's gone from cast, like true hard stun CC. It's gone from maze, primary freeze. There's a lot of soft CC, but it's not that bad, and it's a necessary evil to control certain heroes. And the thing with complaints is that people don't like it when their character is inhibited, no matter what game you look at. Any sort of hard stuns or vision impairment in any video game, people don't like feeling, like they're inhibited by anything, disabled, whatever, silenced, any of those things, because it makes them lose control of their character, and losing control is like, you know, a big, deep psychological thing as well, right? I would say it's less about babies, but it's just kind of how psychology works. But I agree. I don't think CC in this game is even that bad, all things considered. All right, let's do the one more. Hot take, Counterwatch only exists if you are giving into it. I often play Doomfist into like Sombra, Cassidy, Orisa, and I still win games. Time and experience with a hero will always have a better chance to win than an enemy tank who will swap to a hero they don't know how to play. I mostly agree with this. Counterwatch is only as bad as you make it. The best players in the world can certainly play around counters. When you run to 3 or more, then it can become very hard, but it's still not impossible to win. Mathematically speaking, you can still like squeeze out some wins here. I guess the bigger issue is how easy it is to counter in that way. Like you can be like putting a lot of hours and like understand how to play a hero so damn effectively, but one single swap can like shut down 90% of like your time invested into performing to the skill ceiling of this character, which frustrates players. So you say it's only exists if it gives into it, but the proportion of how effective some of these counters are is probably what people have issues with, and how strong and how easy it is to get baseline value compared to the amount of effort it took for you to pop off as Doomfist, for example, when it's so easy to play Sombra and hold your hand out like this and just disable everything. Anyways, that's it for this week's Hot Takes. Leave yours in the comments. Bye-bye.